Christianity, Democracy, and the American Ideal, a Jacques Maritain reader, compiled and edited by Jim Kelly. Chapter 5, Education at the Crossroads, The Role of the State in Education. Introduction. Maritain expressed concern over the proper goal of education in a democracy, which, in his opinion, was to lead citizens to spiritual freedom and to personal and social responsibility. He was especially concerned about the cleavage in education between religious inspiration and secular learning, of which the state's concentration on vocational training and the teaching of secularized character education are evidences. Parents are the primary educators of their children, and the state's educative function is to help the family fulfill this mission. By supporting the growing homeschool and school choice movements in America, education authorities serve that more limited and proper function. Jacques Maritain. The sorrows and hopes of our time undoubtedly stem from material causes, economic and technical factors that play an essential role in the course of human history. But even more profoundly, they stem from ideas, the drama in which the spirit is involved, the invisible forces that arise and develop in our minds and hearts. Nothing is more important than the events that occur within that invisible universe which is the mind of man. And the light of that universe is knowledge. If we are concerned with the future of civilization, we must be concerned primarily with a genuine understanding of what knowledge is, its value, its degrees, and how it can foster the inner unity of the human being. We may now define in a more precise manner the aim of education. It is to guide man in the evolving dynamism through which he shapes himself as a human person, armed with knowledge, strength of judgment, and moral virtues, while at the same time conveying to him the spiritual heritage of the nation and the civilization in which he is involved, and preserving in this way the century-old achievements of generations. To have made education more experiential, closer to concrete life, and permeated with social concerns from the very start, is an achievement of which modern education is justly proud. Yet, to reach completion, such a necessary reform must understand, too, that to be a good citizen and a man of civilization, what matters above all is the inner center, the living source of personal conscience, in which originate idealism and generosity, the sense of law and the sense of friendship, respect for others, but at the same time deep-rooted independence with regard to common opinion. If we remember that the animal is a specialist, and a perfect one, all of its knowing power being fixed upon a single task to be done, we ought to conclude that an educational program that would aim only at forming specialists ever more perfect in ever more specialized fields, and unable to pass judgment on any matter that goes beyond their specialized competence, would lead indeed to a progressive animalization of the human mind and life. How could the common man be capable of judging about the good of the people if he felt able to make judgments only in the field of his own specialized vocational competence? Political activity and political judgment would become the exclusive job of specialized experts in the matter, a kind of state technocracy that does not open particularly felicitous perspectives either for the good of the people or for liberty. In an effort to compensate for the inattention to moral formation caused by over-specialized technical training, educational authorities have undertaken what is known as education of will, education of feeling, formation of character, and so on. Character is something easily warped or debased, difficult to shape. All the pedagogical hammering of nails into the shoe doesn't make the shoe more comfortable to the foot. The methods that change the school into a hospital for refitting and vitalizing the will, suggesting altruistic behavior, or infusing good citizenship may be well conceived and psychologically suitable, but they are, for the most part, dishearteningly ineffective. As a result of the present disintegration of family life, of a crisis in morality and the break between religion and life, and finally of a crisis in the political state and the civic conscience, there is everywhere a tendency to burden education with remedying all these deficiencies. This involves a risk of warping educational work, especially when immediate transformations are expected from its supposedly magic power. The state would summon education to make up for all that is lacking in the surrounding order in the matter of common political inspiration, stable customs and traditions, common inherited standards, moral unity, and unanimity. It would urge education to perform an immediate political task, and, in order to compensate for all the deficiencies in civil society, to turn out in a hurry the type of person who is fitted to meet the immediate needs of the political power. Accordingly, education would become a function directly and uniquely dependent on the management of the state, and the educational body an organ of state machinery. As a result of the extraneous and unnatural burden thus imposed upon education, and of the subsequent annexation of the educational task by the state, both the essence and freedom of education would be ruined. For just as man is constituted a person made for God and for a life beyond time, before being constituted a part of the political community, so too man is constituted a part of family society. The end for which the family exists is to produce and bring up human persons and prepare them to fulfill their total destiny. And if the state, too, has an educative function, if education is not outside its sphere, this function is to help the family fulfill its mission and to complement this mission, not to efface in the child his vocation as a human person and replace it by that of a living tool and material for the state. What is most important in the upbringing of man, that is, the uprightness of the will and the attainment of spiritual freedom, as well as the achievement of a sound relationship with society, is truly the main objective of education in its broadest sense. As regards the prospect for education in America, I also should like to say that no story is more dramatic and hopeful, and testifies more strongly to the greatness of men of goodwill, than the story of the 300 years of achievements here. The democratization of education and the discovery of educational ways and means better fitted for the nature and dignity of the children of man constitute one of the glories of this country. Now it seems that American education finds itself at the crossroads. I am convinced that if it frees itself from the background of an instrumentalist and pragmatist philosophy that is but a hindrance to its inspiration, and which takes the edge off the sense of truth in our minds, this profoundly personalist and humanist educational venture will push forward with renewed power.